Raziel, Janos must stay dead.
But Kane's warning was lost as I slipped into the spirit realm, too weak to maintain my physical form. And there, waiting for me as always, was the Reaver, the Wraithblade, my own soul, twinned and bound eternally to me. And I realized that I could never escape my terrible destiny. I had merely postponed it. History abhors a paradox.
That's Soul Reaver 2, everybody. History abhors a paradox. Ship it, clip it, and send it. Oh my god. Still such a phenomenal game. Oh my god. I got goosebumps. I got tears. I got everything. Oh my god. Like, oh man. I remember playing this game for the first time and being absolutely blown away by the ending. And I'm still I know this ending happened. I know what's in store every time I replay this game, and I'm still blown away. You go through time. You end up carving a path for Mobius and the Seraphan to kill Janos. You come back with a vengeance. Mobius puts you in a position where you have no choice but to grab the Reaver Blade. Raziel admits it was not the lack of options, but pure rage. But still, Mobius manipulates you into grabbing the physical Reaver Blade. You kill all of your Seraphan brothers that end up being the ones that throw you into the abyss at Kane's order. And then you kill your past self. And then it turns out that the soul that was imprisoned all along in the physical Reaver Blade that got smashed into pieces in Soul Reaver 1 when Kane, hit you with it, the soul that was in there all along that twinned and bound to you that became the spectral version of the Soul Reaver was your soul all along. It was your past version self's soul. That's why the soul that is in the Soul Reaver Blade is so ravenous, is so hungry, is so insane. Because it's been stuck, trapped within the Reaver Blade for centuries. Just waiting for you to come along. Waiting for you to complete your destiny. To wrap itself around you. Like, my God. And that's your destiny. That's why the Ouroboros on the ground, because you're destined to play out this purgatorial cycle for all eternity, to keep killing your past self over and over again, and to keep having the Reaver Blade smashed over you, and for you to have your twin soul bound to you. You are destined, inevitably, to be trapped within the Reaver Blade. That is your destiny. You have no choice. This is a Nietzschean nightmare for anyone who would consider this possibility. This is a fantastic story. If I would have to... There are issues with the design. There are issues with how... I feel like there is a sort of intentionality with the linearity and the backtracking. Now, I don't know if this is intentional. I mentioned this early in the stream. But I feel like with all the time you have between the backtracking, It does give you time to sort of process what new information you're given, what plot twists that you're given. Spitting right now? Hell yeah. Thank you, Tyler. Fuck yeah. That's definitely what I'm gonna do. It gives you a chance to, like, revel in whatever's going. Obviously, there is an actual issue with the backtracking in that you're going through the same environments, and there's not really much change to the environments themselves or how you traverse them, compared to something like Prince of Persia, where you go back between past and present and it affects your environment and what traps you have to avoid and the environment and how you have to traverse. And a lot of that has to come down to development time and behind-the-scenes stuff that, unfortunately, developers that are working on the game have no control over. Whereas Soul Reaver 1 feels more... You can definitely feel the cut content, I feel like, maybe a little bit more in Soul Reaver 2 than in 1. Because even if there are alternate paths and hidden nooks and crannies and doors that don't ultimately lead to anything, it still leads to the world in the first game feeling like an interconnected world with no loading times that you can go wherever, which is an advantage for Soul Reaver 1. And given that it is a post-apocalyptic future where all of humanity is gone and Kane and his lieutenants reign supreme, in a ruined world, in a decaying world, I should say. It makes sense that the world is empty, and the color palette is depressingly like gray and browns and blacks, and not a lot of bright colors. And it depends on how you feel combat-wise. Technically, Soul Reaver 2 has better combat. It's better polished. But the main thing that makes Soul Reaver 1 have better combat, by not technicality, but like actuality, is... Well, Soul Reaver 2's combat is more streamlined because in Soul Reaver 1, since you're killing vampires only, you have to use their weaknesses. You have to use flames to burst them apart. You have to impale them. You have to throw them into water, which is acid to them. Otherwise, they just keep coming back. And if you impale them with a weapon, and then you don't suck their soul out, if like you're fighting another enemy and you pull the weapon back out, they'll come back to life. But while that can, depending on your preference, can be annoying or cumbersome, it does force you to be a little bit more patient and strategic. Really, the main thing it kind of takes away from that combat is you have to always be at full health for you to use your Soul Reaver. You get hit once and you lose your Soul Reaver. So at that point, if you have to kill the enemy, you either have to go into the Spectral Realm, get full health, come back, get your Soul Reaver, or find a weapon. But if there's no weapon, then you have to Spectral Realm, come back to the Material Realm, get your Soul Reaver back. And there are some areas, not too many, where the enemies will just keep respawning. So there is that little annoyance. Soul Reaver 1 has its advantages in terms of world building and having an interconnected world and having, in actuality, kind of a better combat system. But Soul Reaver 1 ends on a cliffhanger, and you can tell that not only is there cut content, but that there was more to the story than where it ended up. So you can if you wanted to, you could legit call Soul Reaver 1, you could do The Last of Us. You could call Soul Reaver 1 Soul Reaver Part 1 and Soul Reaver 2 Part 2 if you wanted to, because they're two halves of the same story. Soul Reaver 2 is simply directly the continuation of Soul Reaver 1's story. But there's more revelations in Soul Reaver 2. There's more plot twists. There's more interactions with other characters. The time travel is absolutely fantastic. So, really, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 complement each other. Neither one is perfect. They both have issues. But when you put them together as a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, when you play them back to back, they're